first speaker today, it's really easy for me to make the connection because he lives just 1 mile away from where I stay. His name is Johnston. He comes from Scotland. I was part of his ordination program. He now works for Alpha Youth in Europe, Central Asia, the Middle East, and North Africa. He is a great friend of mine. Please give him a very warm Stavanger welcome.
Oh, wait a minute, we've done it wrong. Hey! That's good. Good morning. How are we all? Sorry, I realise I speak proper Scottish, unlike Alan's nice Scottish. So we'll try our best. It's great to be with you this morning. I am going to be speaking about the open generation and reaching young people. This is something that's deeply passionate to me. I only became a Christian in 2008. 6 weeks after I became a Christian, I started working with young people. So my faith has been uniquely shaped by Generation Z. In fact, you might want to think of me as a Gen Z person trapped in an old man's body. That's certainly how I like, well, maybe 2 or 3 Gen Z people trapped inside this body. But firstly, I think that we need to understand that there's some huge differences between this generation and any other. They're a seismic leap forward in what it means to be digitally native. They've been referred to as a looking down generation. And with 13.2 hours of content on average through smartphones each week, you can understand why. They have never bought a stamp. They have never existed without the internet. Most will never purchase or listen to a whole album. How heartbreaking is that? AC/DC Hell's Bells should be a cultural experience for every person. They care about the environment. They have never been to church. They believe in everyone having equal rights for all things and all expressions of self. Hence why came to be known as the open generation. They're open to all things. They also suffer from the same thing that I do, which is an 8-second filter. That means you've got 8 seconds to capture my attention or I am bored. See, it's going to be a long day. The thing is that when you look at the click rates that people have on Google, do you know 20 years ago, the click rate on Google was 3 seconds. Press the button, people would wait 3 seconds before they would click it again. It's now 0.25 seconds. Isn't that terrifying? That's almost as fast as a Formula One driver. The age group of these people that we're talking about is fundamentally changing everything about the way that we think. There's going to be 1.2 billion teenagers by the end of 2025. That'll represent 22% of the global population. And they are the most culturally relevant group there has ever been. Netflix, Amazon, Google, Burger King, Nike are all chasing after these people, and their influence is all-encompassing. In previous generations, we had a plus minus 10-year sphere of influence. That means if you were 35, people from 25 to 45 would trust and believe what you said. That's changing. See, most industries are chasing after an urban male in his early 20s, as all other demographics will pay attention to that from 65 to 5. Gen Z carry an aspirational characteristic that makes us all look at what they're doing and want to be a part of it. Even our documentary filmmakers are looking towards a level of an educated 12-year-old to meet the needs of the entire populace. That means some of you have kids that are more powerful than you. Ooh, that hurts, doesn't it? With all of this in mind, we joined forces to commit to the biggest study of this generation there has ever been. We interviewed 24,870 teenagers from 26 countries, over 16 languages, 71 questions, which created 297 data points each, which gave us 7.5 million data points total. It's a lot of numbers. We learned a lot, and some of that we knew anecdotally, and some of it you could guess from experience. But to see it in black and white is game-changing. If we look at this graph, 53% of the young people spoken to identified as Christian, which on the surface is very encouraging. However, when we change that to teens who have made a personal commitment to follow Christ, we see that figure drop to 23%. Now, I think we can see a real hangover from Christendom with some of the countries, especially those with predominantly Catholic backgrounds. If we look at Ireland and Poland as an example of this. The next one is to think about thinking about Jesus. To you, which of the following statements are true? And on the left of the table, you see that 47% of all teens believe that Jesus was crucified. 61% of those who identified as Christian believe that Jesus was crucified. But worryingly for me, 39% of our young Christians don't believe that. This gets worse as we go to the right of the table. 21% of global teens believe that Jesus is active today. Only 32% of the Christians believe that. 24% of global teens believe that they can have a personal relationship. Only 36% of the Christians believe that. That means we've been better at telling people that Jesus died than that he came back to life. And this here is really interesting. This is the greatest concerns shown up from the study. Extreme poverty, global climate change, sexual abuse, unemployment, political corruption. This generation is open to God. But are we open to this generation? In our seminar, we're going to look at really practical ways of how we can connect the dots between some of this research, some of the stuff we know, and how that we can turn our churches into a footing where we can maybe engage with some of these guys. How can we see this group of young people come to know Jesus passionately in a way that they'll tell their friends about Jesus, and we'll see lives transformed for the future of the church? Amen? Amen.